Trump could order strikes on Venezuelan military bases within days, while the US also prepares a show of force in the South China Sea, using HIMARS for a precision strike demonstration. These latest moves mark a decisive shift from Biden-era restraint towards a far more assertive US foreign policy, particularly in South America. Military action in Venezuela would not come as a surprise, given the massive buildup of US forces in the Caribbean that now numbers 10,000 troops, an aircraft carrier, and numerous warships and bombers. And while strikes on Venezuelan drug boats have already become routine, attacks on land could now also be imminent. According to the Miami Herald, the Trump administration has made the decision to attack military installations inside Venezuela, and the strikes could come at any moment. These military targets would include bases used to transport and support shipments of drugs by the Maduro regime. US officials have accused the regime of exporting approximately 500 tons of cocaine a year to America and Europe. But as much as targeting drug traffickers is a clear priority of the current administration, stopping fentanyl shipments to the US was a central part of recent US-China trade talks. The ultimate goal was the removal of Maduro. And this is simply because of Venezuelan links to Russia, China, and Iran. As the ongoing Second Cold War escalates, their influence can no longer be tolerated in a country so close to American soil. It's unclear whether these strikes will actually happen, or if they're simply part of a broader effort to pressure Maduro into stepping down. When asked on Friday if a decision had been made, Trump simply replied no. But it's increasingly clear that Washington has decided, one way or another, Maduro has to go. Shifting to the Indo-Pacific, the US is preparing what's been described as a show of force in the South China Sea, following increasing Chinese aggression in recent months. These include ramming vessels of US ally the Philippines and designating parts of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone as a Chinese nature reserve. As these grey zone tactics from Beijing increase, it appears to be becoming clear that without US intervention, China will simply ramp up pressure until it takes these territories by force. It's in this escalating context that CBS reported US Indo-Pacific Command directed American forces to carry out a precision strike demonstration in response to China's escalating hostilities near disputed waters. This could involve US HIMARS systems transferred to the Philippines and would represent the most assertive stance from Washington to date. However, given Beijing's fixation with controlling the entire South China Sea, along with the resources within, this may represent the beginning of further escalation rather than the end of it. The US will need to back up its promises with real support or risk its allies being overwhelmed by vastly greater Chinese numbers. Trump's willingness to use US military power, as seen in the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities, may itself prove a deterrent, but the biggest test now will be whether this force translates into successful foreign policy objectives.